2 weeks later, Maya walked through the glass doors of Summit Enterprises in downtown Seoul, her heart pounding with equal parts excitement and disbelief. She had applied for an entry-level position in their global communications department on a desperate whim, never expecting to even get a call back, much less an offer. It was the opportunity she had been dreaming about since that awful day at the airport, a chance to leave behind the humiliation of Venus Lounge and build the kind of life she had imagined when she bought that plane ticket. The salary was respectable, the benefits were comprehensive, and for the first time since arriving in Korea, Maya felt like maybe her luck was finally turning around. Her optimism lasted exactly until the moment she was introduced to her supervisor and found herself staring into the cold, dark eyes of the man from the private suite. Taemin's expression didn't change as he looked at her. No flicker of recognition, no hint of warmth or acknowledgement. He simply nodded curtly and said, "Welcome to Summit. I expect excellence from my team. Don't make me regret hiring you." Working under Taemin was like navigating a minefield in the dark. He was demanding and critical, quick to point out errors and slow to offer any praise. But what hurt Maya most was the way he looked through her, as if that night had never happened, as if she was just another employee and not someone whose body he had learned intimately. She told herself it didn't matter, that she should be grateful he wasn't making things awkward by acknowledging their encounter. But late at night, alone in her tiny room in the shared apartment, she couldn't help but feel used and thrown away. The other employees at Summit weren't much better. They were polite to her face but whispered behind her back, questioning how someone like her had been hired, suggesting that she must have slept her way into the position. The irony wasn't lost on Maya. She worked twice as hard as anyone else, stayed late every night, and produced results that even Taemin couldn't criticize. But it was never enough to change their minds. To them, she would always be the African girl who didn't belong. 2 months into her new job, Maya's world shifted on its axis for the second time. She had been feeling exhausted and nauseous for weeks, attributing it to stress and the insane hours she was putting in at the office. But when she missed her second period in a row, she bought a pregnancy test from a pharmacy in a neighborhood where nobody would recognize her. She took it in a public restroom, her hands shaking so badly she could barely hold the stick steady. 2 pink lines. Positive. Pregnant. Maya sat on the closed toilet lid and stared at that little piece of plastic until the lines blurred together, her mind racing through 1,000 terrible scenarios. She couldn't have this baby. Not here, not now, not with a man who pretended she didn't exist, and a job she was barely holding on to. But even as she thought it, she knew termination wasn't an option for her. She had been raised in a culture where children were blessings, where life was sacred, where the shame of ending a pregnancy would follow her forever. So she made a decision that felt both brave and impossibly foolish. She would keep the baby and she would do it alone. Hiding her pregnancy became Maya's second full-time job. She wore looser clothes, claimed she was bloated when coworkers commented on her changing shape, and scheduled all her doctor's appointments early in the morning before work. Taemin, thankfully, was too absorbed in his own world to notice. But something strange began happening around the 4th month of Maya's pregnancy. Taemin's attitude toward her started to shift. It began with small things. He stopped by her desk to compliment a campaign she had developed. He defended her work when a colleague tried to take credit for her ideas. He even smiled at her once, a real smile when she made a joke during a team meeting. Maya didn't know what to make of it. Was he finally seeing her as a person? Did he somehow sense their connection even if he couldn't consciously remember it? Or was this just another mind game in a city that seemed full of them? The truth was that Taemin had been watching Maya for months, though he would have denied it if anyone asked. There was something about her that unsettled him, a nagging sense of familiarity that he couldn't place. He had gaps in his memory from that period of his life, too many late nights drinking away stress and family pressure. And sometimes when he looked at Maya, he felt an echo of something important, something lost. But more than that, he found himself genuinely impressed by her work. She was brilliant and creative, bringing fresh perspectives to campaigns that had grown stale. She worked with a hunger that reminded him of himself before cynicism and family expectations had dulled his ambitions. And she was beautiful in a way that made him ache, though he tried hard not to notice. Taemin had been raised in a world of strict hierarchies and carefully maintained appearances. His mother, the formidable Mrs. Kang, had made it clear from childhood that he was expected to marry someone appropriate, someone from their social class, someone Korean. The idea of feeling anything for Maya was not just inappropriate, it was unthinkable. Yet he couldn't stop thinking about her. The confession came on a rainy evening in late April, when most of the office had already gone home. Maya was working late on a major presentation, her 5-month belly barely concealed beneath an oversized cardigan, when Taemin appeared at her desk with 2 cups of coffee. "Take a break," he said, setting 1 cup in front of her. It wasn't a request. They sat in uncomfortable silence for a moment before Taemin spoke again, his voice uncharacteristically tentative. "I owe you an apology. When you first started here, I was dismissive and cold. That was wrong of me." Maya looked up sharply, searching his face for signs of mockery, but found only sincerity. "I've come to realize that you're one of the most talented people on this team," he continued, "and I've also come to realize that he paused, clearly struggling with words that didn't come easily. "I care about you more than I should, more than is appropriate." Maya's heart stopped. This was the moment she had been simultaneously dreading and hoping for, and now that it was here, she had no idea how to respond. Before she could find words, Taemin reached across the desk and took her hand, his thumb brushing across her knuckles in a gesture so tender it made her want to cry. Their relationship blossomed in secret over the following weeks. Taemin was attentive and romantic in ways that surprised Maya. He brought her favorite foods, remembered small details from conversations, and looked at her like she was the most precious thing in the world. For the first time since arriving in Korea, Maya felt truly seen and valued. She knew she needed to tell him about the pregnancy, but fear kept her silent. What if he felt trapped? What if he demanded she terminate it? What if he realized the child was from their night together and felt deceived? The secret grew heavier with each passing day, but Maya convinced herself she could manage it a little longer, just until their relationship was more solid, just until she was sure of his feelings. That illusion shattered when Taemin invited her to dinner with his family. Mrs. Kang's home was a sprawling estate in an exclusive neighborhood where old money lived behind high walls and manicured gardens. From the moment Maya stepped through the door, she felt the chill of disapproval radiating from every corner. Taemin's father, a quiet man who clearly deferred to his wife in all matters, offered a brief nod before retreating to his study. His younger brother stared at Maya with undisguised curiosity, whispering questions to his mother that were clearly not meant to be complimentary. But it was Mrs. Kang herself who made Maya's blood run cold. She looked at Maya the way one might look at a stain on expensive upholstery, something offensive that needed to be removed immediately. Dinner was a painful affair of barbed comments disguised as innocent questions. "So tell me, Maya," Mrs. Kang said sweetly, her smile sharp as broken glass. "What exactly are your intentions with my son? Surely you understand that this situation is temporary." Taemin tried to intervene, but his mother silenced him with a single look that must have been perfected over decades of getting her way. After dinner, Mrs. Kang requested a private word with Maya in the garden. Taemin protested, but Maya, wanting to prove she could handle herself, agreed. They walked in silence among the carefully pruned roses and stone lanterns until they were far from the house. Then Mrs. Kang's pleasant facade dropped like a mask. "I don't know what game you're playing," she said, her voice low and venomous, "but it ends tonight. You are not suitable for my son. You are not Korean. You are not from our class. And you are certainly not welcome in this family." Before Maya could respond, Mrs. Kang's eyes dropped to the small swell of her belly beneath her dress. The older woman's eyes widened, then narrowed with pure fury. "You're pregnant," she hissed. "You trapped him. You got yourself pregnant to trap my son into this relationship." The accusation was so absurd that Maya almost laughed. "I didn't trap anyone," she said quietly, "and my baby is none of your concern." That was when Mrs. Kang struck her, an open-handed slap across the face that left Maya's cheek burning and her ears ringing. "Get rid of it," Mrs. Kang commanded. "Get rid of that baby and get out of my son's life, or I will make you regret ever stepping foot in this country. I have connections you cannot imagine, and I will use every single one to destroy you." Maya left that night without saying goodbye to Taemin. She blocked his number, quit her job via email, and disappeared into the crowded anonymity of Busan, a port city where she could hide among the shipping containers and market vendors and tourists passing through. She found a small apartment in a rundown building, paid 6 months' rent in advance using what little savings she had left, and registered at a local clinic under a false name. The doctor who examined her, a kind older woman who asked no questions about her circumstances, confirmed what Maya already knew. She was carrying a healthy baby boy. "You're due in early August," the doctor said with a warm smile. "Have you chosen a name yet?" Maya nodded. "Kai," she whispered. "His name is Kai."